So we are waiting after a long time, quite a few of you. Okay, so before we start off, no, just for a minute or two, I want to tell you what my exact plan is across this entire thing. Now, like most of you know, since the last 7 or 8 years, roughly, I have been on astrology 24/7, almost 10 to 15 hours a day. Okay, and what I have come to understand finally is that like how you approach a car for repairs, you cannot approach it with just a screwdriver, right? You need a full toolkit with it. So similarly, when you're addressing any event in astrology, you need a toolkit, which I'm calling cockpit. Okay, everything at one glance. Okay, so one paddhati I've realized doesn't do justice to every question which comes your way or every situation which comes your way. So what I'm doing is I'm basically doing what I'm calling as resurfacing. So resurfacing basically means that in the last 7 8 years, I must have taken on maybe I don't know 100, 200, 300 classes and learned under so many people and read so many things. So now I'm one by one taking up each paddhati. I have selected around 5 paddhatis and around 7, let's call them sub paddhatis. I'll tell you what I mean by that. And I'm taking them one by one and actually extracting the juice out of everyone and then making a sort of a trajectory. Okay. So for example, in the main paddhatis, you can say like Parashari is obviously the main one. Your Bhrigunandi Nadi is there, your Lal Kitab is there, your Krishnamurti Paddhati is there, your Jaimini is there. So these are the 5 main ones which I'm taking on. As of now, I've taken up the Krishnamurti Paddhati for a specific reason. And the sub Paddhati is basically, I'm calling them sub Paddhatis, but they are standalone systems which are like Jamakol, which is going on parallel anyways. Then next, after this, I'm going to take on Sarvodabhadra Chakra, then Ashtak Varga, then your Kota Chakra, then your Astro Vastu, then which are the other ones? Astro, this thing. Navtara system is there. Yeah, so these are the subsystems which are planned. Now, my aim in all this is that many of you might be already conversant with some of these paddhatis, so to say, or for some of you, it may be new. So for the people who are new, you will obviously learn it the way I am learning it. So I don't consider myself as some teacher or guru or something. I am just amongst you. So don't consider me that way. Whatever I'm learning, I'm sharing with you. The people who already know of any specific paddhati should actually step up and share anything further. Whatever I've said, if there's something beyond it that you know, you need to share it. So basically, we come to a platform where we are grounded in the sense that suppose we start solving cases across this entire trajectory of paddhatis. It is not that if I say something, I do not have anyone else to counter me. You understand? So that is the meaning behind this. Everyone is on one platform. Everyone is equally educated in this, and then we are able to come to one platform, which I call like a buffet. So you can pick and choose. Just to give you an example, let us say you become very competent in, let's say, Lal Kitab. And somebody comes and says that this fellow, he just comes and says that this guy is very unwell, will he recover or not? Now that from Lal Kitab you cannot from, then you have to use Jamakol. Now you use Jamakol. Now I'm trying to integrate everything into Jamakol, that's another thing. So every paddhati has its shortcoming. And that is what I want to get to. Okay. So this is the background. So now let's start. So we are thinking that every Sunday we'll have sessions wherein I will keep sharing as I grow. Maybe if there's nothing to share, we may not have a session unless someone of you wants to put up something, or we can solve cases or whatever it is. Yeah. So anyway, so to start off with, the first paddhati which I have taken on rather is Krishnamurti Paddhati, and the reason behind that being Krishnamurti Paddhati is a stellar based or constellation based or nakshatra based system. And like most of you know, I have been using nakshatra everywhere. Even in Jamakol, I've used nakshatra. So nakshatra seems to be giving the final results, so to say. So that is why I've taken it up, and you'll realize that it's a pretty simple system that way, comparatively a very simple system. Okay, mainly because 90% of the calculation is done by the software, any software that is there. Okay, 10% which you actually need to use your brain on is what is called as house grouping. If you understand house grouping and you know how to use it, you are okay with Lal Kitaab, okay, with this thing, Krishnamurti. So I'll just share my screen here now. So can all of you see this thing, Photoshop screen? Let's see. Okay. So I'll try to just highlight it. So we basically know, because I put everything in one screen. I'll share this screen with you later on. I put everything here. So like I said, Krishnamurti Paddhati is the first one which we are taking on. This gentleman has written 6 readers, which are pretty heavy books. If you want, you can read them. But frankly speaking, what I've understood from here is that these 12 pointers which are there, if you are able to understand that, and which are pretty simple, out of which 7th we'll be taking up today only, that forms a perfect base on which you can build up your KP. Actually, as per me, these 12 are the only things that are there. There's nothing more to be done. Okay, so let's directly jump into that. Before we start, I want you to understand whether all of you are conversant with the North Indian chart. If you're not conversant, I'll just tell you, because we always keep doing the South Indian chart. So here the houses are permanent. So this is always the first house, second house, and it goes in a anti-clockwise direction as against the other one which we were doing. Okay. So that is one thing. Here the Rashis keep changing. So if my ascendant is the 6th Rashi, it will be 6 years, 7 years, that is the Rashi. Okay. So if you all are conversant with this, we'll jump into this. Now here the main, anyone over here who's totally zero in KP, just put your hand up. Anyone who's zero in KP, in the sense doesn't know anything about KP, Krishnamurti Paddhati. All of you are conversant with Krishnamurti Paddhati, is it? Let me stop this sharing. All of you are conversant? You don't know?
I'm not, I don't know that much.
The rest of you know basics about this, right? Okay. Shamla is zero, Shivaji is zero. Okay. Good. Okay. Chalo, that's not bad. So the rest of you, if I make a mistake, please correct me, or if there's something which is lacking, please add on. Okay. So let there be no ego clashes. I am at the same level. So the main difference which we encounter over here is that earlier we used to use the Rashi chart, if you remember, always. Okay. Here Rashi chart is used, but a lot of work is done on what is called as the Bhav Chalit or the Kaspal chart. Kaspal means houses. Kasp is house basically. Okay. And they use what is called as the Placidus system. Placidus system is basically unequal bhava. Unequal bhava means here we, in regular this thing, we consider each Rashi or each bhav as 30 degrees in our other system. Here it is not that. It can fluctuate. Like some houses may be 5 degrees, some may be 42 degrees. It can fluctuate. Now let's not get into that calculation part, because that itself is one big task, and that entire calculation is done by the software. So not to worry. For the software, you can look up this gentleman. He's done a fantastic job on KP, and he's made this. I'll send you this photo later so you'll get it. This application online, where it's a free application, and he's given this entire thing has been extracted from there only. The entire KP thing is over there. So in fact, I've started using that only, though I have got some others, 2 other paid softwares I've got, which are pretty expensive. But this fellow has given it in a very concise manner, so it's good. Okay. So this is the first thing that you should know, that you need to see what is called as the Bhav chart, Bhav Chalit chart, and not this. Okay. Now, the most important thing is basically understanding the planet significations, or what I call it as a script. Okay. So script, basically you get it like this. This is the script. For the time being, let's just keep Rahu Ketu side me, because there are lots of ambiguities about that. Look at Venus, let us say. So the script, what the script tells us is basically 6, 8, 7, 12. So what I just zoom in over here, so maybe it'll be easier to understand. Okay. Now just study this Venus. Okay. 6, 8, 7, 12. So 6 is basically where it is posited. So this is Venus is here, if you can see that. So that 6 is where it is posited. And the other 3 are which houses it owns. Okay, so if you see here, if you understand the South Indian chart, 2 and 7, right? So 2 is here, which is the 7th house. 2 is again here, which is a peculiarity of Bhav Chalit. So this is the 8th house, 7th house, and the 7th Rashi is here in the 12th house. So in short, what the script basically talks about is house where it is positioned and the houses which it rules. All houses, everything is house based. The Rashi part doesn't come in at this point. It will come later. All of you understood so far? Because this is the most important thing. Before that, सबसे important thing is this. This, if you understand, this is going to make a huge difference. That a planet first gives its result or predominantly gives its result of its nakshatra lord. And the result, good, bad, or neutral, is given by the sublord. I'll explain what sublord is in just a minute. I made a diagram to understand that easily. Okay. So this is the preamble of Krishnamurti Paddhati, the planet. And I'm adding a caveat to it, unless tenanted, untenanted, which I'll come to in a bit. For the time being, just understand this for the newcomers. Planet will predominantly give the, like, let's say 80% or 90% will give the result of the nakshatra lord. And the good, bad, ugly will be as per the sublord. This is the preamble of Krishnamurti Paddhati. Okay. So again, coming back to this script. So this basically tells you everything about Venus. This, if you see, is the star lord, meaning nakshatra lord. Star is nakshatra lord. So Ketu. So just now I'm not getting into Ketu like I told you. Rahu Ketu. This is the sublord. Okay. Which I'll explain to you in a bit. Let's take some other planet so it sort of becomes a revision. So the planet's signification for Sun is seated here in the 6th house and the Rashi is in the 10th house. So the script becomes 6.10. Clear? Bas. This is the most important thing. If you have understood this, 50% of KP is done over here. Okay. So this basically tells you how the KP works basically. Third one is basically the nakshatra lord, which we just spoke about and all of you know. Now the difficult part, so to say, or the which is done by the calculation done there, but I'll tell you how it works, is the sublord. Okay. Anish, if you are there, this is basically for you, Anish. You'll actually appreciate this more. Now, all of you just look at this table. It's not a table, it's basically a diagram which I've tried to make. If you don't understand, tell me, but it's pretty self-explanatory. If you see this is our Rashi, which is 30 degrees. Within that, we have got 2.25 nakshatra. So just concentrate on one nakshatra just now. So let's say Ashwini. This nakshatra is this nakshatra is divided into 9 unequal divisions. Please understand. Here I am not, my AutoCAD wasn't working properly, so I could not do that very easily. Unequal, I'll come to that in a bit. These are 9 divisions. These 9 divisions basically are the sublords. Okay. And how they work is, the first one will be the nakshatra lord of the, the lord of the nakshatra, which it is seated in. Okay. And then your Vimshottari Dasha goes on this way. When you go to the second one, which is Bharani, just see that it shifts ahead and Venus becomes the first one. Ketu goes right at the end. When you come to Kritika, Sun becomes this one and it goes like this. You know, it's like musical chairs. So it goes around. So this is basically what sublord is. So like it's saying, the planet, suppose a planet is seated here. It will first give the result of the, predominantly it will give the result of the nakshatra lord. Mujhe kaun sa ho gaya? Ketu. Okay. And the taste of it will be given by the sublord, which is moon. So if we just look at a planet placed here, let us say, it will give the results of Ketu. So it will tell you everything that Ketu has to tell you over here, this line. Okay. And the good or bad, okay, let me change this. Let me make it sun. Okay, just for the heck of it. Let's say it is seated here. So it will give you the first, it predominantly give you the result of Ketu. which is the nakshatra lord, and the sub lord is sun. So good or bad will be given by sun. If you have understood this, a major component of this thing is done. Now, this one is basically for Anish because he is the calculation guy. Now, if you see this, now, I'm not going to go into depth of this because this is pretty heavy, though I've tried to make a Excel formula over here. The unequalness I'm trying to show you. Now here, this is the table. I'll share this table also with you. This is the entire Aries Rashi. In this Aries Rashi, the star lord is Ketu. Correct? It's the, sorry, Aries Rashi क्या बोल रहा मैं? ये क्या बोलते हैं? Ashwini Nakshatra. Correct? Ashwini Nakshatra, the thing is Ketu. Here, if you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 divisions, starting with Ketu and the same Vimshottari Dasha going up to Mercury. Okay, all of us know this. Now the thing is, if you see the division, just see this, don't break your head on this. This is 0 to 46. So अंदाजा 46 पकड़ लो, मुझे 40 minutes. This is degrees, minutes, seconds. Okay. So अंदाज से 46 minutes हो गया उसमें. Correct. Now the next one, if you see the next division of the sublord is from 46 to 3. It's like roughly saying 1 and 1.6. This was 0.6. This is 1.6. This is 0.4. This is almost 1. This is almost 1. This is almost 2. This is almost 2. This is almost 2. This is almost 1.5. Can you see the difference? Now, for those of you who really want to know the thing, it is basically based on this. The Vimshottari Dasha across 120 years, they have been given their bit, right? All this. So now this calculation is not there anywhere. I did this to understand basically when I was studying this. So Vimshottari Dasha 120 this thing. Just look at one because I don't want to get into details of all. So Ketu is 7. But 7 out of 120. So 7 out of 120 is 5.883%. So in 13.33, my one nakshatra is 13 degrees 20 minutes, which when you make it in decimals, it becomes 13.333. So in that, 5.8% becomes 0.78. When you convert that into minutes, it becomes 46.65. When that is converted to decimal, it becomes 39. So basically, it becomes 46.4, which is what you see here. I don't know, most of you might not be interested in this, so we keep it at that. But what I'm trying to tell you is this calculation, or rather this is going to go in 10 minutes. This difference is this entire calculation, which is based on this Vimshottari Dasha system. And fortunately, we don't have to calculate it. The software does it for us. Anish, I'll explain this to you later. You would have understood mostly, but when we meet, I'll explain this to you because then you'll.
I've got it. And just for your information, these houses are unequal because of the elliptical nature of the orbit.
Correct.
So when the orbit is far away from the sun, it is more pointed, and when it is closer to the sun, it is more broader.
Yeah.
So the angle that it covers in any given point in time, because the speed of rotation is constant.
Very true.
So the angle that it covers is lower.
Correct.
So I can get into that if you wanted.
So this calculation, because when I was studying this, I wanted to know, like how Anish explained, I wanted to know exactly why this is changing all the time. That is the time I came up with this formula, and then it fits in properly. But frankly speaking, we don't need to get into that. The software does it for you. So this entire thing. So basically, if you want to know what is going to happen you'll understand bit Mars, Ketu, Venus, the planet should be somewhere in this range, then only that will activate. Okay, that's one thing. One more thing which I forgot to write here in this entire list, which is one of the most important things, is Dasha. Dasha and Ayanamsha. Okay, yesterday, in fact, Amit reminded me, so that was good. So here, whenever you do, you have to use the KP old. You cannot use the Lahari. Okay, KP old, Ayanamsha you have to use. And the Dasha system is the same thing. Here, predominantly, they use the Mahadasha, Antardasha. but actually I use the Pratyantar also. So that's an individual choice, whatever you want. So till this point of time, have you all understood roughly what it is? Because this is the most important thing. If you understand this, the rest comes into play. And the fortunate thing is, yes, we don't need to do the calculation. That's the best part of it. Okay. So I'll just repeat everything in a nutshell and then we'll go on. And in 10 minutes, in 7 minutes, this is going to go off. Swati, I think we can come back on the same link. No, last time we had tried. Same link, you click, you come back. Okay. Shivaji, you want to ask something? Achha, thumbs up. Okay. So basically what we have understood, the main important points is a planet gives the result of the nakshatra lord, and the result, good or bad, is by the sublord. So normally when I write down, I write 1, 2, 3, like I write planet, uske niche I write the nakshatra lord, uske niche I write the sublord. So basically it's like saying that ye jo planet hai, it's sitting on this nakshatra. So it will give the result of the nakshatra, good or bad, and good or bad will be given by the sublord. This is the most important thing. That is one. Second thing which we have to understand very importantly is the planet signification. So planet will signify some numbers, and those numbers are houses, not rashis. We are so used to rashis that many times even I get carried away with that. Though of course, from the Kalpurush Kundali point of view, that rashi and houses are in a way interconnected. So whatever it is, but the point remains that you have to what is it called? Those house significations are very important. So when a planet is, let's take a simple one. Let's say a planet is signifying 2, 7, 11, and somebody comes up with a marriage ka thing. So that window is open, 2, 7, 11. So if, let us say, there is something called Kaspal sublord, which I will tell you. So let's say the 7th Kaspal sublord is signifying 2, 7, 11. And that dasha, mahadasha, antardasha, pratyanta dasha is on, there is a possibility that that person can get married. So that is the way you can actually sort of, go like a Rubik's Cube and come to the final conclusion. Okay, in this bracket, which could be across maybe just a month or so, this event can happen. Okay. Now, what I've understood from this, in fact, Amit, who is come under Sanita's names, Amit Soman can also help because he's also pretty well versed in this. What they say that 2, 7, 11 or this thing, not just to take it at face value, it doesn't happen because I have studied some cases where there are 6 in the primary thing for marriage, but that marriage is going on, and there are 7 some places and the marriage is not going on. So I'll tell you one thing, because most of you know that I do a lot of bhavat bhavam and that sort of thing. If you see 6, we say 6th is 12th from 7th, meaning anti-marriage. But if you see 6, 6th is 5th from 2nd. 2nd is addition to family, 5th is relationship. So it can also mean a love marriage. So if a person has a love marriage instead of an arranged marriage, then that 6 doesn't become anti-marriage. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So just taking 6 at face value, what we by-hearted and said that, oh, 6 is anti-marriage, frankly speaking, doesn't work. So I'll show you the house grouping also. I think I've shared it on the group also. I've made a very extensive list, but you cannot take it at face value. We've got exactly 4 minutes left. You all want to ask anything, ask. Otherwise, we'll switch off and switch on again.
So I wanted to share one experience. So what you said was like 6th is not anti-marriage. So that works. So it might happen that if the lord of the house or the karak, I mean the Naisargik karak of marriage, say Venus. So if he is well placed, then there might be some, I mean, friction in the marriage, but still it works. So
Correct.
before you declare seeing as 6th as like anti-marriage or it will lead to like separation or something, we have to get at least 3 clues from the horoscope. So then that is where you have to look at the what you call Kalpurush Kundali. So what is the Rashi that is there in the 6th house? What is the Naisargik Karak? So if separation is like an extreme thing, so for that to happen, you should have at least 3 clues from the horoscope to say that everything is bad.
Yes.
Otherwise, with friction or with somebody intervening, the things go on. I mean, there is a scope of reconciliation.
Correct. Now, like you said, no, I'll just, because I was comparing two very important to this thing. The one where this sixth was there, sixth, and like you said, the Karak is Venus. Venus was in R12, where it is exalted. And that happens to be the seventh house of marriage. So Karak of this thing, and it's a R6 ascendant, sixth Rashi ascendant. So basically, it's the second and the ninth god. So Bhagya related to addition to family, ninth and second. Venus, Karak of marriage, seated in the second house. But from there, that is seventh Rashi, which again becomes marriage, is seated exalted in the seventh house. Barabar, across. So that proves that it doesn't have to be anti-marriage everything. So what Amit is saying is very correct. Did all of you understand what he said? Because the next step, what I'm going to tell you all is the house grouping. And if you go blindly by the list, which I have shared, or you can get numerous of them online, I have sort of, I'm still editing that. Like what he said, many of them I might not use also. And if you ask me, you should not use the house grouping the way it has been generally given, point blank. Because then half of the people you will say that they'll not get married or they will have a divorce or something like that. Got it? Anyone else has anything to say? Other 2 minutes, we'll have to log out and log in again. Should we log off and log in again? No? Better. Chalo. Okay.